a star of it next year, yes? Yeah, I like that idea, But I gotta be honest with you, see, I travel around a lot, and I get to come to conferences like this, and I get to hang out with students, and I meet a lot of teenagers, and I meet a lot of students from around the country, and as I meet these students, I've been learning a lot about the differences between guys and girls. Not those differences, no. Now, some of you are disgusting. You need to get your head out of the gutter. It's still in the morning. No. There's always some guy who's like, boys and girls are different. No, we're not going there. Your mom didn't sign that permission slip. No, here's what I mean. See, I know the other day you guys all arrived here at the conference, and you pull in on your vans and your buses and your cars. Some of you hitchhike here. That's all right. And you start bringing in all of your bags and your suitcases and your possessions and your belongings, and I'm learning that there's a significant difference between the way a guy packs his bag and the way a girl packs everything she owns. Now, couple observations here, okay? Whether you're a guy or a girl, if your suitcase weighs more than you do, you have a problem. If you can fit inside your suitcase, you need help. Better yet though, if you have ever actually physically got in your suitcase and had a friend zip you up, you might just be a redneck. It's true. By the way though, if you've ever actually done that, if you've ever actually got in your suitcase and had a friend zip you up, that person is not your friend. Like, it always seems like a good idea at first. Like, I can't breathe. Let me out of here. How many of you have done this before? Yes, not a good way to win friends and influence people. Now, in my observations, I tend to find that girls pack more than guys do. How many of you would agree with this, right? So I've been trying to figure this out lately. I've tried to figure out what is it that a girl knows that apparently as guys we're just clueless on? Some of the girls are like, everything? Yeah, it's true. Now here's what I want to know. Like, girls, why is it that you will come to a 3-4 day conference like this, and yet you will pack 19 outfits with 57 pairs of shoes, so that you have like 194 different combinations of clothing? Now, I come up with a couple of theories for why I think girls pack the way they do. You want to hear them? You interested? Okay, here's my thought. See, girls, I think part of the reason that you pack the way you do is because girls plan for every single weather scenario that is scientifically possible within our galaxy. It's true, because if you ever start like digging through a girl's bag, which guys, by the way, don't do that. That is a good way to get shot. Like if you touch a girl's bag, guys, don't be surprised if she comes up behind you. It's like, step away from the bag. Guys, don't mess with a girl who's had one too many Red Bulls on this one. Trust me, all right? But in a girl's bag, she has something for everything, right? So like as a guy, if you walk up to her, it's like, what did you bring in that dump truck of yours, right? And she's always like, okay, let's see here. Well, it is hurricane season, so you never know. And I didn't see it anywhere on the schedule, but I brought my snow skis. Yeah. And then sometimes we get a lot of rain here in Texas, so I packed a canoe. You packed a canoe? Now girls, you bring a lot of weather-related items, but then how many of you know, girls bring a lot of things that fall into that category of just in case, right? Like you can just think of like random, bizarre, off-the-wall scenarios where you might need one of these items. So again, as a guy, we're asking you, like, what did you bring? She's like, I brought a snake bite kit. Yeah. I brought the world's largest bag of Doritos. True. I brought some blocks of ice in case I want to build an igloo in my room. I brought my Justin Bieber pillow. Sorry. Sometimes when I laugh, sometimes I drool a little bit on his face there, but he doesn't mind. He's Justin. Well, which, by the way, doesn't Ashton look like Justin Bieber? Where's he at? Oh, he's gone. He's like, forget this, I'm out of here. I was sitting there talking, and I bet Ashton, man, I was talking to him, this was like, he looks like Justin Bieber. That's awesome. No, there's always some girl, this is one of my favorite stuff, there's always some girl who's like, I brought my passport. Yeah. Now, I know we're just staying inside Texas, but in case we leave the country and go somewhere like Arkansas. You gotta wait a minute, because not everybody gets the joke. Because here's what's gonna happen. So there's always someone in here who's gonna be like driving home this afternoon. You're gonna be driving home, sitting in the back seat, and all of a sudden it's gonna be like, oh, I get it. Because I was confused, because Arkansas is not a country, you see. It's a city. Wait a minute. That speaker, he was a silly biscuit. I don't understand what he was saying. Some of you need to desperately look at a map right now. That's okay, no shame in that. Now girls, that's just what you bring in like your normal suitcase. We won't even talk about what you bring in your bathroom cosmetics accessories bag. The girls are like, you're funny. I hate you. The girls are like, I'm gonna text my friends. I hate the speaker. LOL, LOL, OMG, JK. They laugh or they know it is true. Now that's the ladies. Let's talk about the fellas for a second. Homeboys, where you at? It's like universal man cry right there. Now guys, we tend to live by the motto that less is more. So guys, we come to a conference like this, we packed everything we're going to bring in a Walmart bag. We show up to get on the van or the bus and we're like, I'll tell you right now what your advisor's thinking. As soon as your advisor sees you, your advisor's like, Jesus, take the wheel right now. I can't do a 5-hour road trip with Stinky in the back seat. This is not going to go well. Now, although there are a lot of significant differences between the way a guy packs a bag and the way a girl packs a bag, there is something that we have in common here. See, girls, I think part of the reason that you pack the way you do is because you know at this conference you are coming to, there will be guys here. And guys, you pack the way you do because your mom still packs your bag. True. No shame in that. That's all right. But girls, you know if you're going anywhere in the world, if you're coming to a conference like this, and there's a chance, just a little chance, that you might see a guy that could be considered like, I don't know, hot. You will do anything necessary to make sure you look good. Ladies, is this true? Right? I'll tell you exactly how this works. Here's how this plays out. See, a couple months ago, you were deciding whether or not you're going to come to this conference. And before you decide, you always want to know what other schools, what other regions, what other districts are going to be there. And for some of you ladies, as soon as you find out that that one dude is going to be here, you're like, what? Robbie's going to be there? Have you seen Robbie lately? He just got his braces off and his teeth look good. And his hair, mama like. And his eyes, Just give me a second, please. His eyes are like space crystals that melt my soul. Some of the guys are like, that's really good, I should write that down. So ladies, I apologize if some guy walks up to you and is like, has anyone ever told you that your eyes are like space crystals? The girl's gonna be like, has anyone ever told you you're creepy? And here's the funny thing to me, is no matter how much or how little you packed, every single one of us in this place can come up with some type of reason, some type of justification for why we pack the way we do. We can come up with some type of explanation, we can come up with some type of excuse for why we brought every single item that's in our bag. And for the next few minutes that we have here together, as we begin to wrap up this conference today, I want to challenge you with a simple idea, a simple thought of learning to take ownership, learning to take responsibility of your life, and learning to live your life with no more excuses. So regardless of where you're from, regardless of your background, regardless of what's going on in your life, regardless of how old or how young you are, regardless of how you did in the competitions, regardless of how much money your family makes, regardless of the brand of clothes that you wear, regardless of your social status or how your grades are, regardless of what's going on in your world, realizing that, listen, if you want your life to be different or better or improved in any way, it's up to you to make it happen. And so one of the things I want you to understand is as we think about each one of our lives, we all have different things in our lives that we use. as an excuse. There's a lot of things that we use as an excuse, right? Like, let me ask you, how many of you have ever been hanging out with mom or dad before and they like did or said something to embarrass you in front of a group of friends, right? And so you're trying to come up with some type of excuse to explain them to a friend. You're like, yeah, Tony, dude, I'm sorry that my dad was chasing your cat earlier. Sometimes he thinks he's a dog. It's very uncomfortable for our family. How many of you have had this happen? How many of you have failed to turn in your homework, or you turned your homework in late and you've tried to come up with some type of excuse for why that was, right? And we all have the same excuses, right? It was like, I didn't know it was due today, or my dog ate it, or my dad ate it. Also very socially awkward. But I tell you what, if there's ever been a time in life where you've had to come up with some type of excuse, it's if you've ever been pulled over by a cop. How many of you have had this pleasant experience before, right? Because we all do the same thing. The cop walks up and asks, do you know why I pulled you over? And that's your cue to begin making excuses, true? And the thing that I've learned, the thing that I've noticed though, is that girls take a completely different approach than guys do. Now girls, basically you have one of two strategies, both that work really, really well, neither of which are effective for men, okay? Step one for girls, you know how this works? I don't understand this, I don't know how this takes place, I don't know how this happens, but girls, like, you flip a switch, and it's like Cryfest 2011. I have no idea, why are you applauding that? I have no idea how that works, but you know how it is, like, you're sitting there, and the cop walks up, and you're like, I'm so sorry. I had no idea it was illegal to do 74 in a 15-mile-an-hour speed zone. Now what's frustrating is sometimes like the officer will buy this sob story. I mean, you were sitting there like a mess, you know? Like your makeup is running, you're making snot bubbles there. You're doing that weird breathing thing, you're like you're hyperventilating or something. What is that? Stop that, that's messed up. But you're sitting there, and sometimes the cop's like, hey, it's okay, you just slow down out there. You're like, okay, I'm sorry. But any girl who's ever done this, any girl that's ever pulled this off, as soon as she's driving away, she's like adjusting the mirror, fixing her makeup, and she's like, sucker. Yes, evil girls, evil girls. So that is plan A. Plan B for you girls, again, you know how this works. I don't want to call you out. I don't want to embarrass you. But for some of you girls, you have actually tried to flirt your way out of a ticket. Yeah, don't applaud this. This is horrible. But again, you know how this works. Like the cop walks up and you just lay it on thick. You're like, hello, Officer Handsome. Do I know why you pulled me over? Probably because you wanted to chase me, you silly boy. And today is your lucky day because you caught me. By the way, has anybody ever told you that your eyes like space crystals? Now here's the thing that's frustrating. This is like therapy for me because guys can't do this, right? Can you imagine a guy trying to cry his way out of a ticket? Do you know how sad and pathetic that is? The cop's like, I don't know whether to write you a ticket or give you a hug. Come here, buddy, it's okay. Like, worse yet, can you imagine a guy trying to flirt his way out of a ticket? We don't know how to flirt. Like, the guys are really excited about the space crystals line because they're like, that's new material, I can use that, right? Worse yet, though, can you imagine your dad trying to flirt his way out of a ticket? Oh, some of you are like, breakfast just came up a little bit, yeah. Swallow it back down, it's gross, anyway. But like imagine like your dad gets pulled over, the cop walks up and your dad's like, hey, how you doing? It's like, Dad, you don't even talk to Mom like that. It's repulsive. But again, there's a lot of different things that we come up with excuses for, whether it be for our homework or for our parents or for the decisions that we make, whether it be for how much or how little that we pack, whether it be for why we got pulled over. And so I want to challenge you to take ownership and take responsibility of your life and to live your life with no more excuses. I think if we were being honest, I think one of the biggest things that a lot of us use as an excuse, we use as a crutch or a cop-out, is our past. I mean, the fact is, we all have things in our past that we're not proud of. You know, when I was growing up, I had a pretty decent childhood. I had a younger brother and sister, mom and dad that loved me, loved each other. And for us, it was a pretty normal, middle America type family. And my parents were like most in that they would fight from time to time, but I remember at one point in middle school where it seemed like the fighting happened a lot more often than normal. It seemed to be a little more intense than usual. So one of the things I would always try to do is if my mom and dad got in any type of argument, a lot of times I would leave the house, go somewhere else. And a lot of times I would go up to the local YMCA. Basically I did this for two reasons. Number one, I knew I had some buddies up there, we could play ball together. And number two, I always knew that there would be girls up there.